A girl named Vada is getting ready for school, struggling to stay awake in the bathroom. Once she's dressed, she leaves with her best friend Nick. They drive to school, enjoying coffee and singing along to the car radio. They arrive just as the bell rings. During class, Vada gets an urgent text from her younger sister Amelia. Worried, she asks to step out and calls Amelia, who is panicking about getting her first period. Vada comforts her, explaining that it's normal. They talk for a while, and Vada suggests they have dinner later to discuss it more. After the call, Vada goes to the restroom and sees her classmate Mia, a popular dancer. She quickly texts a friend to say Mia is in the bathroom. When Vada comes out, she compliments Mia. Just as they start to chat, gunshots echo through the school. Frightened, the girls hide in a stall, scared as the shooting continues. Soon, a boy named Quentin rushes in, covered in blood, and tells them his brother was killed in the attack. They endure a terrifying few minutes until the police arrive and the chaos ends. After the shooting, Vada is deeply affected and isolates herself. She spends her days alone in her room, crying and haunted by the memories of that day. Her family worries and tries to help, but Vada prefers to be alone. One night, Mia follows Vada on Instagram and shares her phone number. Vada contacts her, and they start texting about how they are dealing with the tragedy's aftermath. Mia shares that her parents are in Japan, leaving her alone at home. She invites Vada over, offering a place to talk or hang out whenever needed. The next morning, Vada wakes up suddenly, gasping and sweating from a nightmare. Feeling restless, she decides to meet Nick. Her mother is happy to see her leave the house after days of isolation. She meets Nick at a park, where he encourages her, suggesting they survived for a reason and should help others by raising awareness to prevent similar tragedies. Later at home, she scrolls through Mia's Instagram, watching her dance videos while Amelia and her mother watch the news. On impulse, she texts Mia and decides to meet up. Telling her parents she's going to see Nick, Vada sneaks out to visit Mia instead. When she arrives, Mia greets her warmly. As Vada enters, she notices the art around the house, and Mia explains that her parents are artists who travel a lot. They laugh and connect over how different Mia appears on Instagram compared to real life, with Vada admitting she's been watching her videos. The conversation turns to the shooting, and Vada opens up about her nightmares. She mentions she plans to attend Quentin's brother's funeral the next day, and Mia offers to go with her for support. At the funeral, both girls pay their respects, and Quentin thanks them for being there. After arriving home, Vada begins to sift through old photos, and her sadness grows deeper. She spends her time crying, often trembling with fear as she recalls the tragedy. Vada starts to spend more time with Mia. During one of their meals, Vada inquires about Mia's relationship with her parents, asking how often they travel and how they treat her. Vada soon realizes that Mia, despite her wealth, feels lonely. Her parents are often absent, and her passion for dancing has taken a back seat since the shooting. That evening, the girls watch a movie at Mia's house. As Mia begins to doze off, Vada prepares to leave, but Mia asks her to stay until she falls asleep, saying it makes her feel safe. Vada agrees and waits quietly until Mia drifts off. Later, on her way home, Vada calls Nick to apologize for not seeing him recently. She tells him she was with Mia, and Nick is taken aback. Vada explains that she has been struggling to cope with everything. The next morning, Vada wakes from another nightmare. Nick calls her, saying he plans to return to school. Vada's mother, Patricia, overhears and later asks Vada if she is ready to go back to school. She reassures her that no matter what, both she and Vada's father will support her. Patricia gently encourages Vada to see a therapist to help her deal with her trauma. Vada agrees and meets with a therapist named Anna, whom her mother arranged. At first, Vada tries to keep the mood light, joking and laughing with Anna, but soon she starts to feel anxious. With some support, Vada begins to share her thoughts, claiming she manages her emotions well. However, Anna notices that there are deeper issues and suggests that Vada needs to face her feelings to truly heal. She gives Vada a worksheet to help her express herself. After the session, Vada's mom picks her up. Vada casually mentions that Anna thinks she is smart and funny, but she also tells her mom that she doesn't want to return to therapy. Later, Vada receives a message from Quentin, thanking her for attending his brother's funeral. He asks if she can meet, and they decide to get together at a coffee shop. When they meet, Quentin appears to be struggling with his feelings. Vada comforts him with a hug, reassuring him that things will get better in time. Vada then goes to Mia's house, where they smoke weed and drink. Afterward, Vada returns home feeling very hungry and starts looking for food. Her mom catches up with her and expresses her frustration, noting how distant Vada has become from the family. She urges Vada to face reality and return to school, warning that avoiding it will only make things tougher. Annoyed, Vada storms off to her room. The next morning, after some persuasion from her mom, Vada reluctantly heads back to school. Upon arrival, they go through metal detectors and participate in survival drills designed to prepare them for potential threats. Vada feels overwhelmed and leaves the room, unable to go to the bathroom where she once hid during the shooting. On her way home, the noise of a falling can shocks her, causing her to lose control and wet herself. That night, she puts on a brave face at dinner, hiding her true feelings. The next day, wanting to escape her emotions, Vada buys ecstasy from a dealer to help her through school. While high in class, she chews on her pen, getting ink all over her face. She tries to leave the classroom but struggles to walk and nearly falls down the stairs. She texts Nick for help, but before he arrives, she tumbles down. Nick finds her confused and quickly takes her away before anyone sees. Later, Vada gets a call from Quentin, who mentions she had been texting him while high. To distract herself, Vada invites Quentin over to watch a movie. Her family becomes curious, but she asks them for privacy. When Quentin arrives, they enjoy their time together until he suddenly leaves due to a family emergency. After he goes, Vada sneaks out again, telling her parents she's studying at Nick's. Instead, she goes to Mia's house. They talk about relationships over drinks, and before long, they get high and start dancing in the street. Later, they return to Mia's place, lie on the floor, and continue their conversation, leading to a close moment. The next morning, Vada wakes up early and quietly leaves while Mia is still asleep. When Vada arrives home, her family is very angry. They had been trying to contact her all night, worried about her safety. Vada attempts to explain to her mother that she was at Nick's house, but then she finds out that Nick has also been searching for her. With no other option, Vada confesses that she was with Mia and had been drinking. Her mother is shocked and can't believe it. Later, Vada meets Nick, who is clearly upset. When she asks him why he told her mom where she was, Nick says he was really worried. The last time he saw her, she was under the influence, and he was scared she might hurt herself. He mentions that he has been trying to contact her for weeks, but she has been avoiding him. He accuses her of not trying to improve, instead spending time getting high with Mia. They argue, and Vada, feeling angry and overwhelmed, storms off. Later, she meets Quentin and vents about how Nick seems to not understand her anymore. Quentin listens and reminds her that Nick has his own struggles, working hard to raise awareness about gun violence. After talking for a bit, Vada feels a little better and, in a moment of vulnerability, leans in to kiss Quentin. He gently pulls back, saying he cares for her, but isn't ready for a deeper relationship right now. Feeling embarrassed, Vada quickly leaves. That night, overwhelmed with feelings, she breaks down in her room. Amelia quietly comes in and cuddles next to her, sharing her guilt for distracting Vada just before the shooting. Amelia thinks her call caused Vada to leave the classroom and put herself in danger, which is why Vada has been avoiding her. Touched by her sister's honesty, Vada realizes how her own trauma has impacted Amelia. She comforts her sister, assuring her that it was never her fault. The next day, Vada and her father climb a hill to release their frustrations by shouting into the open sky. In that moment, Vada reveals how much she has been holding back, and for the first time, she feels a sense of relief. Feeling lighter, she decides to visit Mia later that day. When she arrives at Mia's house, she finds her passed out in the sauna, surrounded by empty wine bottles. Mia wakes up slowly and confesses that she thought Vada hated her after their close moment. Vada reassures her that is not true. She has no regrets about what happened, and it won't change their friendship. They agree to move forward. Mia then tells Vada she plans to return to dancing. The next day, Vada attends her therapy session with Anna, where she makes significant progress. She talks about missing Nick and how important their friendship is to her. For the first time, she allows herself to cry about the shooting, taking a step toward healing. After the session, Vada has a meaningful talk with her mother, apologizing for pushing her away. During their chat, Vada shares details about her relationship with Mia and what transpired between them. Her mother listens and offers support. The film ends with Vada waiting outside Mia's dance class, and they exchange texts. Just when things seem to improve, Vada gets a news alert on her phone about another school shooting in Ohio, where 12 students have died. She stares at her phone in shock, the news weighing heavily on her. Overwhelmed with emotion, she starts to hyperventilate. The movie concludes with Vada experiencing a panic attack, her sobs echoing as she struggles to breathe.